are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. Happy 4th of July, episode 232, also the 4th anniversary of The Issue podcast. We have made it. Episode 232, like I said. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there watching on this Thursday.
The
Glorious.
4th on the 4th.
Glorious. One of the best holidays.
Are
We need to
you
do a holiday
kidding me?
ranking for one of our last calls.
Oh, we should.
We should write that
Should
down.
we just do it? Let's do it today. Let's do it
we'll
today.
do a
I'll put
holiday.
the one that we had for today for
We'll
next
push that to
week.
next week. That's a good one, though.
Yeah. We can do this. We'll do like let's like rank like maybe cookout foods for 4th of July.
Yeah, we could do that.
Everybody does a good cookout. Okay, I like that.
All right. We have a ton to get to today. The show is loaded, and it's a good one. So we're going to start off with Tim's rant. This time, the Chicago Bears, once again, the subject of discussion. We will get to that to start the show. To finish the first segment, we'll have hits and misses, as we normally do. And then to start the second segment, the top 10 NFL teams way too early predictions. So we're going to lay those all out, give you our takes there. And then to supplement that, we're going to have a great guest joining us after that to close out the second segment. That is Keane Cropp. He is one of the hosts of the Last Stop Sports Talk podcast on Spotify and YouTube. So go check that out. He does some great work over there, and those boys are going to be big. So thanks for coming. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts ourselves. If you want to listen to the show, you can also watch the show on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Prime Video, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app. It's all on there. Go check it out. A lot of platforms. We appreciate you being here for episode 232.
It feels good. 4th year. If there's anybody left from year number 1, from episode number 1, God, you remember how bad it was. I mean, it was bad.
We came a long way.
I mean, looking at the table, we had taped up poster board with soundproofing inside of it, talking into your old laptop mic.
Yes, because the first mic that we bought for the first episode ended up failing on us. We never got to use it.
It was terrible.
It's actually behind me. So,
yeah, it's awful. Yeah, it's awful.
It was not good, but we've come a long way. We should go ahead. We should post some of those old pictures. I have old pictures of the old studio. And
we
the
really
old
should.
podcast.
That'd be something. Let's throw that up on social media.
TBT. This episode comes out on Thursday.
Sure.
So there we go.
Sure. But yeah, so that's 4 years in the making of me doing, rants and giving you guys my take, the hits and misses and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get into one that I feel pretty confident on now, and that's Caleb Williams and the Bears. If you've been following us for the last couple months, you know that Caleb Williams is my guy. We each took guys. Caleb Williams is my guy. Your guy is what? CJ Stroud, right? Stroud. My team, because also one of my guys is Trevor Lawrence, so my team is the Jags. I don't even know if you picked a team, but subsequently, when you have a guy, you also get their team as well. So Caleb Williams and the Bears, my guy and my team. And right now, they're currently even money to make the playoffs. They're minus 110 yes and minus 110 no. To make the playoffs out of the NFC North. They're just a shade under the Packers in terms of odds to win the division. The Lions are 1, and the Packers are like plus 300, and the Bears are like plus 400, something along those lines. But here's the kicker, right? If you're going to add a playoff team, you have to take somebody out. You just can't there's 7 playoff teams last year. No, they're all going to make the playoffs again, but the Bears are going to make it as well. You see all these hosts, this is a real playoff contender this year. Okay, well, that's the easy discussion to look at a team. The Falcons bring in Kirk Cousins. That's an easy discussion to say, I think they're going to be a playoff team. Well, who are you taking out? Right? So, if I think the Falcons are going to be a playoff team, which I think they're going to win that division, well, who am I going to take out? Probably the Bucs, considering the Bucs won that division last year. I don't think that division's going to get a wild card team. Okay, so the Bucs would be out. Right? So if I'm adding the Bears, who am I taking out? Right, like our idol, if you will, put that in quotation marks. I don't know if I idolize anybody, but someone that we look up to would be Colin Cowherd, right? He's been really successful. I like his takes. They're highly nuanced, and he's been probably the most successful sportscaster and TV radio personality over the last 2 decades. First at ESPN, now at Fox. So yeah, he's big on this idea where it's like, okay, the easy conversation is pointing out the talent of a team that's going to make the playoffs. The hard conversation is who's falling out of the playoffs. The NFL over the last 2 decades, roughly 2 decades, has been consistently turning over 6 to 7 playoff teams each year in each conference. Or I'm sorry, not in each conference. Total. So 3-ish in each conference. So in the NFC, we had the Niners, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Lions last year. So who's in, who's out? So if the Bears are in, I think the Niners are in. Like, I don't think that's too much of a discussion. I think it's the top 3 roster. Brock Purdy's certainly good enough. They have the structure. They have the coaching staff. They stay. I think the Lions probably have the second best roster in football. Really good offensive line. I'm big on winning in the trenches. I'm obviously a huge Jared Goff fan. We can argue about their Super Bowl odds and, can Jared Goff really win a Super Bowl? We can argue about that, but I think they are a playoff team. I don't think anybody's going to really argue that. I think they'll compete for the 1 seed as well. I'm pretty high on the Rams. It's a coach quarterback league, and I think if you combine those two into one ranking, there's an argument that they have the number two ranking there. I'd put Reed and Mahomes. If you would, again, combining the value of coach quarterback, McVay, Stafford, I think they would be number 2. So I think they probably stay. There's some noise I don't love with Matt Stafford's wife, but I mean, whatever. That's fine. Let her talk on miscellaneous podcasts. I think they're fine as a football team. That leaves us with the Packers, Cowboys, Eagles, and Bucks. That they could conceivably take a step back. I think that's realistic that any of them could. I think Philly, with the addition of a real offensive and defensive coordinator and Saquon Barkley, I think they probably win that division. I think they're safely in. The Packers are a young team only getting better. Jordan Love's probably, in my prediction, going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think they stay. So that leaves us with the Cowboys and the Bucks. Let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and start with the Bucks. Again, I think they probably miss. Baker, to me, is an average quarterback that probably played a little bit above his true potential and true level last year. They played about 9 playoff caliber teams. I think if they don't go 6-3 in those, 5-4, 6-3, I don't view them as a playoff team. I think it's an 8-9, maybe 9-8 team. But I think with a highly competitive NFC this year, which is a little bit different from last year. The NFC last year, top was here, bottom was here. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive this year. So I think they probably miss. But I think I said Atlanta's going to replace that spot because they were a division winner. We're looking at how can the Bears claw their way into a wild card spot. And that brings me to the Cowboys. Because if the Eagles are going to win the division, the Cowboys are going to have to claw tooth and nail to get a wild card spot. They're consistently, and they have been over the last, we'll call it 3 to 4 years, have been a really good regular season team. But the problem is they tend to lose to winning teams and good quarterbacks. I've done this rant 1,000 times on Dak himself and how he performs against winning teams and against losing teams. How he performs against good quarterbacks, bad quarterbacks. How he performs against playoff teams, non-playoff teams. I've done that 1,000 times, and I'm not going to do it, verbatim here. So how many of those teams do they play? Well, they play 10 of those teams that made the playoffs last year. One of those being the Browns. Not sure how we feel about them. But then again, they also play Atlanta, which we think will be a lot better. They also play the Commanders, who had Jaden Daniels, who a lot of people think they'll be a lot better. In those games, Dak is roughly a 500 quarterback, if not slightly below. That's his career average against playoff level teams. I mean, in those, we'll call it 12 games, because we'll add one of the games against the Commanders, I think, is a viable game when you go to Washington. And then we'll add the game against the Falcons. 12 games. I think they go 5-7 in those games. And I don't think you're going to win every game as a favorite. So say they win every game as a favorite. They lose those 7 games. That would put them at 10-7. I think they probably lose 1 or 2 games that they're favored in. That puts them at 9-8, 8-9. And I went on this podcast, I went on TikTok saying, I think they go below 500 and miss the playoffs. And I'm predicting an 8-9 team. So who's dropping out of the playoffs? I think it's the Cowboys. I think the Bears are firmly a playoff team. I think Caleb Williams wins Rookie of the Year. I think he is a Pro Bowl fringe caliber quarterback. I think there's an argument for an All-Pro. I think he's going to be that level good. I know you don't. The defense was much better after they got Montez Sweat. They have 3 legitimate receivers, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and hopefully Rome Odunze. They're going to be able to run the ball. The offensive line's much improved after they've invested draft capital in it the last couple years. I think that's a playoff team. I worry about Eberflus, sure. But they're going to have a clever young offensive coordinator. I think the Bears are a playoff team. And who's dropping out? I'm taking the Cowboys. I think the Bears take the Cowboys slot. Mayhem in Dallas. And the Bears are celebrating. That's my hot take for the day.
Now, if that were to play out, may I say, the NFC North would be considered the best division in football, probably having 3 of the 4 teams go.
I think there's an argument. Because I think clearly I just said I think the Packers go. I think the Lions go. So yes, they would have 3 teams go.
That would be an outstanding finish for a division that has disappointed for the last 2 decades.
So if I give you like a way too early NFC, I'd go like Lions at 1, Niners at 2. I think probably the Eagles at 3. I'd go Atlanta winning that division at 4. And then I would go probably Packers, Bears, Rams would be my third wild card team.
Okay. You have the Rams under the Bears. That's crazy.
I mean, somewhere in that. Yeah,
okay.
6-7-ish.
Very arbitrary, not solid.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say the 3 wild card teams for those 3 teams. You can argue about position.
Well, may I say, divisional predictions are going to be fun this year.
I can't wait. I think we're going to have some disagreement.
Yeah, I think so too, especially when we get to the NFC North.
We'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll find a consensus. We'll figure it out.
Either way. Let's transition. We got hits and misses coming at you now.
All right, hit number 1 here. I had never been Daniel Jones supporters. Stories coming out of, I know it's not even technically training camp yet. It's whatever, like mini camp or OTAs. I get lost in all these different verbiages for practice.
Right, but they're practicing.
Practice.
Yeah.
And like Drew Lock's like getting some first team reps. Like, damn, that's got to be rough if you're Daniel Jones. Drew Lock is getting first. Come on.
But we saw this coming. Daniel Jones was not a good quarterback by any stretch of the imagination.
But did we ever think he'd be Drew Lock bad?
I mean, we kind of said it. We did a Daniel Jones and I don't think we could find anybody that we would take over Daniel Jones.
That's a good point.
So,
okay.
I mean, like...
Okay, good.
It's just...
We know it's bad.
You can't expect to at least be shopped out and looking for somebody to replace you, when you just can't win.
Do you think that Drew Lock at some point starts a game not for injury-related reasons for the New York Giants this season?
Probably.
I need a yes or no answer.
Yes, it'll get bleak enough where he will start.
Okay, I agree.
I think it will get...
Well, let's put a general... Give me a general, 3-week stretch. Not even their schedule, but just, in general. I'm going to go anywhere between, 13 and 16. Somewhere in that range, he'll get a start.
I was going to say between 10 and 13.
Okay, so you think it's a little earlier than that. Okay, fair enough.
But I think when they still have a little bit of hope to maybe get to 500 or something like that.
Sure, and they think Drew will kind of get him there.
Yeah.
You think by my time it'll be too late, they'll just give up.
Yeah, they'll be like, okay, send him.
All right, Mr. 1 here. Kenny Pickett and the Steelers 2023 preseason. I am using this slot as a warning to everybody out there. When somebody comes out in training camp or somebody comes out in preseason and looks really good, don't be like us and go out there and say they are going to be the Niners of the AFC, okay? I don't know who the hell would say that, but that person's clearly dumb. That was me. That was me. I'll take it. I'll take it on the chin. This is a cautionary tale. Don't do that. No, Kenny Pickett is the clear-cut backup, if not third string in Philadelphia, behind Jalen Hurts and Dom, the bodyguard.
Whoever else they have.
And whoever else they have.
The guy that drives the bus.
Yeah, God, that was the preseason looked so good. Had a perfect pass rating, and then went in the tank. So this is a cautionary warning. Take our miss. Don't make yourself. Don't.
That's all. That's nice of you doing everybody a solid.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm a man of the people.
Absolutely. One of the things that jogged my memory, though, I did see a couple of things on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, saying that there have been days so far in practice that Kenny Pickett has outperformed Jalen Hurts. And as soon as I read that, that's what I thought of in the preseason showing. He looked like one of the best damn quarterbacks in the league in the preseason. He couldn't throw an incomplete pass. And then the big lights turned on during week 1, and we all know what happened from there.
Yeah, bad. Hey, number 2 here. It may just be a small thing, but I think something is everything. Everything is something. Not everything, or not every something is everything. Does that make sense? So not every little tidbit of information is everything. You know what I mean? Not every little bit of stat, not every performance is the entire picture.
Sure.
But I mean, it's something. Yeah. Every story is something, right? Does that make sense? Okay,
sure.
We got that.
Yeah.
The something that I'm referring to is Justin Fields returning kicks in the Madden trailer. Mm-hmm. It's not everything, but it's something, right?
It shows you that he's not in the conversation to win a job right now.
Something is not everything, but everything is something.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say.
That should be
So that's something.
That's a quote. That's a damn good quote.
Something, right? It's not everything. It doesn't mean he's always going to be a kick return. It doesn't mean he's ever even going to return a kick this year. but it's something.
I think Thomas Jefferson said
It's
that.
something.
I think he said that.
It's something.
It's in there somewhere.
It's interesting. It kind of goes to my point of that he is a more dynamic athlete than he is a legitimate NFL quarterback. He's got some refining to do, although he has some talent, I'll tell you that.
Hell of a lot of it.
Yeah, for sure. Miss number 2 here. I caught myself the other night actually being fascinated in a WNBA game. I'm sorry. I know I went out there and I said I don't like the league that much. I think they're just kind of, bitching and moaning and complaining about everything, despite them, growing and getting more revenue and getting stuff handed to them, and besides them being a subsidized league, whatever. But I gotta say, with specific matchups, of course that had Caitlin Clark in it because I'm not going to watch a non-Caitlin Clark WNBA game. That's just... I have a life, right? I'd rather sew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't even know how to sew.
But you'd rather pick up and learn sewing.
Correct. I'd rather pick up and learn crochet than watch a non-Caitlin Clark game.
Okay.
So anyway, it was a Caitlin Clark game, and she was playing Diana Taurasi, which I don't know. I know a little bit about WNBA. She's like a legend in the women's college basketball or women's basketball period.
Okay.
And it's Caitlin Clark's idol, and they were playing against each other. It was a chippy game. It was going back and forth. And I actually found myself being a little bit fascinated by it, I got to say. And I didn't think I would, so that's a miss. I didn't think I would be fascinated. I was a little bit.
Damn it, we need NFL content to come back.
I can't wait. Can't wait for it.
We need NFL content
Can't wait for
to
it.
come back.
If that was probably number 10 on my list of importance in terms of sports that day. Would that be in the top 50 during the NFL season?
No.
Good, thank you. Hit number 3 here. NCAA finally wising up. Obviously, they've gotten smarter on the NIL and the bringing NCAA football back. And I like conference realignment a lot. The fact that you can have in the early window you can have a Ohio State game, and then in the Central time zone you could have Iowa or Illinois, and then in the Western time zone, Mountain time zone, you could have I don't even know
Colorado.
Sure. Well, they're in the Big 12, but yes, I get your point.
Yeah.
And then on the West Coast, you could have Oregon, Washington, whatever. I think it makes for better television. The NCAA is picking up on things. News story out there, they are not going to be testing for cannabinoids for those who like to smoke a little bit. Thank you, finally. It's 2024. Can we grow up for a second and be well, the running back who just got his face kicked in for 3 hours could smoke a joint. What are we going to do? We're going to shoot him up with Toradol and give him a bunch of Oxy, or we're just going to let him go smoke a joint and have a good time. That makes a ton more sense.
Right.
Can we actually care about the human being and not about the stigma around what we're giving these student athletes?
Right, and plus, it's about transitioning to fit more with the times too. Things have changed. We now realize that marijuana is not some sort of drug that's going to kill you or seriously impair you to a point where I'd make the argument myself in cases it's safer than alcohol.
How far down the list in terms of danger? I would put your meth, your heroin, all your opioids and those stuff up top.
Yeah.
Cocaine would be up there.
Yep.
And then I would say alcohol would be a step down.
Oh, we're getting flags left and right on the YouTube.
That's
right
okay.
now.
That's okay. How far down the list would be a cannabinoid or marijuana?
Yeah.
So far down the list of danger.
Yeah.
So far.
A little bit above a Dr. Pepper, I would say.
That's an interesting one. How many people on a commercial flight do you think are just cooked? I was thinking about this last time I was on a flight.
Okay, a lot.
I'd say
almost
50%.
I'd say 40%.
Okay, cool.
35 to 40%.
I think that's a fair point.
Okay, next one.
All right, miss number 3 here. I didn't think Jake Gensel would be even close to the realm of possibility for the Penguins to re-sign him, given the number that he was going to demand.
Yeah.
But he ended up signing for roughly $9 million a year. That's in the Pens' wheelhouse. Now, I don't know if he would have wanted to sign with the Pens, but it'd have been doable. I didn't think it would have been doable.
And they didn't want to
make
him a deal?
I don't know if they even pursued it. I don't know if he would have been interested. But my point being, it's they have more flexibility than they think. They just have to release some of these dead contracts, what they started doing with Riley Smith, who sucked. They just sold him off for 2 draft picks that are useless because it was just a salary dump. You do that with Jari now, do it with Carlson, do it with Carter, go to Malkin, go to Letang about their no movement clauses. They're a franchise right now that has 1 foot in the, we're going to compete, and 1 foot in the, let's just tear it down and rebuild.
Yep.
Decide.
Make a decision.
I think it'd be rebuild. I think it'd be everybody but Crosby's on the block.
Either one is a better decision than they're currently making now. It's a better path forward. If you just choose one of them, either rebuild or just go in and sign your guys. Either way, just say you're going to be a contender now, or hey, we're taking ourselves out of it for 3-5 years. We're going to rebuild. We're going to
I think
restructure this.
I think you have to rebuild, but I think the issue is to officially rebuild, you have to get rid of 2 of the 3, Malkin, Crosby, Letang.
You have to come to terms with that to be able to do that.
Malkin and Letang would be the
You cannot rebuild with keeping Malkin and Letang.
What do you want to do? What would you do with Carlson? I'd move him. I wasn't super impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
There was way too much hype.
Old.
There was way too much hype, and he's an old player for an already way too old team.
Yeah,
so
and he's pricey.
It didn't fit.
Yeah, well, that's it for hits and misses, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will have our way too early top 10 NFL teams. Some surprises on there. I know we're going to get some hate on there from a couple fan bases in particular. But either way, I welcome that. I look forward to it. And then we'll have a good interview with our man Keane Cropp from Last Stop Sports Talk.
There it is.
Got it. Nailed it. All right, guys, thank you. Make sure you come back for segment number 2. Welcome back in. It is the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Hope you guys are staying safe. And if you are listening actually on today, Thursday, the 4th of July, we appreciate you taking time out of a busy holiday to listen to us. If it is after that, well, then we hope you had a safe and fun 4th of July. But we appreciate you guys stopping in to join us. We talked a little bit about the Bears in the first segment as well as hits and misses per usual. Here in about, call it 10 to 12 minutes. We'll have Keane Cropp on from Last Stop Sports Talk.
There it is.
All right, I'll get it one of these days. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. But hey, either way, good dude. We'll talk about some Steelers, just some general NFL stuff as well. So make sure you go check out the standalone videos of that. And, if you're actually watching on the full video, keep watching and you'll see that.
It should be really good. Speaking of the 4th of July, things can get out of hand pretty quick. I'm a big fan of the firework incidents, those videos. Have you seen some of those?
It's almost
they're lighting them off in their garage, and you're like, did you really think that was the best place to light a firework?
Yeah, well, clearly not.
Obviously, they didn't think much.
Yeah, or when they have the stash of fireworks next to where they're lighting them off, and and a flame goes awry and lights the whole stack of them on fire and starts shooting them at the neighborhood.
Also, for some reason, this smart individual also just happens to have all their gasoline for their riding mower right next to it.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Either way, hope it was safe for you and you weren't one of those idiots that we will be laughing at on the internet for the foreseeable future, we'll call it. But we got some football to talk here in the second segment. So we're going to start off. We have our top 10 NFL teams. Now, it's way too early. We haven't even started camp yet officially. But these are the top 10 teams that we feel after the offseason, after the draft and all the trades that have happened, everybody moving back and forth. These are the 10 best teams at this point in time. Let's go.
All right, we always start at 10 and work our way to 1. Number 10, let's go with the Rams. I know that they're not studded with talent. I know that Aaron Donald's leaving. But in a coach quarterback league, and especially one where weapons matter, to have Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, and Sean McVay at those 3 important positions, to me, is critical. It's hard to envision that team being bad with those 3 components. And they have a good run game with Kyron Williams. They add Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan. I just can't see that being a bad offense. And I know defensively you lose Aaron Donald. They have guys on the back end that are going to be able to compete. They have guys in the front 7 that we saw as rookies or second-year players last year start to take a step. Too good of a culture, too good of a quarterback, good weapons, good structure, good in the trenches. I can't see that being a recipe for disaster. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're a really, really solid team.
And just the mastermind at head coach, the Sean McVay. We recently put out a top 10 coaches ranking, I think last week or the week before.
Was he number 2, I think?
He was 2 or 3, and then we actually had people on YouTube giving us pushback saying that he doesn't belong inside the top 10 and that he can't get it done without Goff. Which is ridiculous. I don't know if they haven't watched football or what some of the viewers of our show are doing, but he is very well cemented a top
Super Bowl
3
with
coach.
Stafford.
Yes, I'm assuming they must not have remembered that part.
Whatever. Number 9 here, but this is going to get some pushback. The Chargers. I know we've said for 3 years, this is the Chargers' year. They look good this year. Herbert this, Herbert that. I get it. I understand the pushback that we're going to get. That you say it's their year every year and it's never their year. I'm not saying it's their year to win it big, to go win a Super Bowl or win a conference championship or even get there. But I think from a team that went 5-12 last year, Herbert was hurt at the end of the year. You had probably the worst coaching staff in football, and now you transition into one of the best coaching staffs in football. I love Jim Harbaugh. They're building the right way. You go ahead and get another tackle. So you have probably the 2 best, or I guess the best tackle duo in football. I worry about it up the middle, but they're going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be smash mouth football, and I think that's what Herbert needs because I think he's probably going to be best suited to throw on play action. To be able to push the ball down the field, open up some holes. He's going to be able to make all the throws outside the numbers, even off play action. So I think it's a really good roster. I know there's some holes in it, but it's too good of a staff, too good of a roster that I think there's no way they're outside the top 10.
I like it a lot. They have a ton of firepower. I mean, they're going to come out, they're going to throw the football, they're going to go for a ton of yards, and Justin Herbert's going to run that score up. I think under the better leadership of a Harbaugh now, they're going to be even tougher to play against. I see this as kind of their breakout year. I don't see it as like you were saying, not a Super Bowl win, hell, not even a really deep playoff run, but at least
you're going to make the playoffs. I think making the playoffs is a good standard. That'd be a good season.
That's a great benchmark for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you still have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa too. So
Number
8, the Philadelphia Eagles. This
is low for them.
It's probably a little bit low, or at least low for what other people are going to think. I'm just not a huge Jalen Hurts guy. I don't actually think when the lights are brightest, when he's playing the best competition, he's able to get it done from the pocket. And I think you have to get it done from the pocket. I think from a 17-game season perspective, there's too many inconsistencies with Jalen Hurts in that offense. But with that being said, new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore comes in. New defensive coordinator Vic Fangio comes in. You have Saquon Barkley. You re-sign your receivers. You're set in your receiver room. Your defense still has a ton of talent on it.
Yeah.
This is a roster that can win. I almost think Nick Sirianni needs to get the hell out of his own way, and I think this is going to be a really good football team. I think they're probably going to make a wild card. They're going to compete for the division. I think it's a 10-7 team. I think Dallas may surprise. I have them as an 8-9 team. A lot of people have them at a much higher clip. I think Philly is a sneaky good 10-7. I think they, in reality, are going to be as good as a 12-5 team, but some of the inconsistencies are going to lead them to 10-7. But they're still going to win the division. Going to be the third seed. They're going to surprise some people.
And they fight it out for the division, though.
I think they're going to fight it out. Yeah, I think Dallas is going to lose a couple games late to where it's not going to be as close. But yeah, I think Philly's a good team. They're going to encounter some tough scheduling, breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 feels good for Philly.
Perfect.
Number 7, Cincinnati. I just don't know. I think they'd be higher if I had more certainty on Burrow's injury.
And his health.
Right, his wrist that's a really tough, weird spot to get hurt. Like, that doesn't heal that easily, I don't think, especially when you're throwing the ball over and over again.
Right.
That concerns me. The thing with T. Higgins is a little weird. You lose Joe Mixon this year. The offensive line's not as good. Defense should still be solid, and I do think Burrow is the probably third or fourth best quarterback in football. And I think there's a little bit of that, revenge factor. Like, he's coming back for more. So I would go Cincy at 7.
I agree with you on that, but I do begin to worry are injuries going to be the thing that defines Joe Burrow's career? Because a couple more of these, he's starting to slip out of the 4 or 5, the best 4th, 5th quarterback in the league discussion.
I think this year goes a long way in deciding that.
Yeah.
I think if he gets hurt again this year, I think there's a real argument that Cincinnati may have to draft a quarterback in the first couple rounds.
Just as a protection play. Not because Joe Burrow can't play, but just because he physically cannot play.
I was going to say, because he physically can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 6 here, Buffalo. I know they sold off a bunch of pieces. I know Stephon Diggs is gone. I know their secondary is depleted. They're still a really good team. They're going to run the football a ton. Josh Allen's still a really, really solid NFL quarterback. Probably the second or third best quarterback in football.
Easily.
He's still a one-man show. And we've seen high-level quarterbacks lose star receivers and still maintain at least a good level of play. I can't see them going into the tank. Maybe 6 is a little high. I can't see them slipping out of the top 10. 6 feels right to me.
Yeah, I like it. This is a team that's always going to compete, a team that you're never going to want to see on the schedule, especially later in the season. They play in cold weather environments really well, which is what you need down the stretch. If you haven't realized, it's cold in the United States between the months of November and January when it matters the most. This is a really good team. They have a great quarterback. They have a very competent head coach. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. You don't underestimate Buffalo.
They'll be just fine. Number 5, Houston. I think C.J. Stroud's going to take yet another step forward. I know he's your guy, but it's undeniable the talent he has. C.J. Stroud is that guy.
It's insane.
I know I just said it doesn't matter that much that you lose Diggs. I think it means more to gain Diggs than it does to lose Diggs. Does that make sense?
Especially
crazy, but
especially with a quarterback that's ascending.
Thank you. Right, C.J. Stroud's not yet to Josh Allen's level, so to get a star receiver like that for a young quarterback is huge, much like when Stephon Diggs got to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was still ascending,
Exactly.
and we saw it help his growth a ton. So, yeah, Houston at 5. I would go Detroit at 4.
This is a scary team, man.
It's such a scary team. Best offensive line in football, best run game in football, one of the best edge rushers in football, one of the best wide receiver corps with Amon-Ra St. Brown at the helm, one of the most productive receivers in football. Secondary is questionable. Yes, I'm well aware of that, but they're going to be able to put up points. And I'm a Jared Goff guy. We know I'm a Jared Goff guy. So Detroit at 4.
And you want to talk about ascending. There's no team that fits the bill better for ascending than the Detroit Lions. I mean, like you said, at every position group that matters, they're getting better. They're competing. We saw them give the 49ers a run for their money. And they almost
there's an argument they outplayed them. There's an argument they outplayed them.
Well, they did outplay them. They just kind of lost it at the end, just a little bit.
Correct. Number 3 here, the Ravens. Do I have concerns about Lamar's ability to win in the playoffs? Yes. But does he win almost 80% of his games as a starting quarterback? Also, yes. So what am I supposed to do? Pretend like he's not going to go win 12 games this year? Like that...
At least 10 to 11.
That matters. And I know people are going to say, well, you bang on Dak for not winning playoff games. Dak's also been in the league for 10 years. This is Lamar's, 5th year? So I'm going to give him a little bit more grace. And he got to the AFC Championship game this year, something that Dallas hasn't done in, 25 years? 26 years?
Very long time.
So, yeah, the Ravens are a much better organization. And they add Derrick Henry. The offensive line's young and improving. I think the Ravens at 3.
Love it.
Niners at 2.
I mean, it makes sense.
Shanahan... McCaffrey,
Purdy on a very team friendly deal.
Ayuk will be back. Ayuk is going to be back.
Yeah, I mean
he'll be back.
They have the weapons, they have the defense, they have the coach, and their quarterback is perfectly paid for what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
and gets the job done. Doesn't crash the Mercedes. So.
Yeah, I agree. At number 1, the Chiefs. I maybe I'm old school, but unless one of the Super Bowl teams loses a major piece, I just think they're number 1 and 2. I'm sorry, maybe I'm old school in that, but it's unless the Niners lost Ayuk or Kittle or one of these really cornerstone pieces or Brock Purdy got hurt. I don't love Brock Purdy, but they need a quarterback, right? So what if he gets hurt? Okay, well then it changes a little bit. But if these teams stay relatively the same, which they have, I think they belong at 1 and 2 respectively. I think we owe it to those Super Bowl teams. And so that's how we have it, Chiefs and Niners 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, winning the Super Bowl makes you the big dog. If you want to be the big dog, you got to beat the big dog. So Chiefs at 1 until proven otherwise.
Best quarterback, best coach in football.
Yeah, so it's really tough to argue that.
Yeah, 1 through 10 here, Chiefs, Niners, Ravens, Lions, Texans, Bills, Bengals, Eagles, Chargers, Rams.
It's a great one.
Love it.
It's a great list. Way too early, but I also think it will end up being pretty accurate in the end. We have a knack for that. Either way, we're going to have somebody come on, kind of fact check us here, kind of keep us in our place. This is our guy, Keane Cropp. He's joining the show now.
All right, we got Keane in from Last Stop Sports Talk, little pod he's got on YouTube, Spotify. I think those are the main 2. Looking to branch out. Keane, I just threw up my way too early top 10. What are your thoughts? Just looking at it, just a preliminary look, nothing too crazy. What are your original thoughts on that top 10? Am I crazy on anything? I mean, just what are your general thoughts on it?
Yeah, you got the Chargers at 9.
Hell yeah.
Just explain that to me a little bit.
Okay, so I'm a huge Herbert guy. I'm also a huge Harbaugh guy. I think the offensive line is going to be much better. You have Alt and Slater. I worry a little bit about the middle. Yes, I do. But they're going to be able to run the football, and Herbert finally has a competent coach who has an identity that they know what they want to do, and that identity isn't, screw it, we're just going to go for it no matter what the down and distance or time of game is.
Come on, that was the one thing that I could actually get behind with Brandon Staley. There were a lot of he had a lot of questionable, very questionable just time management things and taking timeouts here and not taking timeouts here. We're going to go for it at 4th and 15. There were some questionable moments there, but I can see what you mean. It's definitely, I'm not going to argue with you that it's not an upgrade from going from Staley to Harbaugh. So yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I thought you were going to say that Houston at 5 was too high, which I think that's probably the hottest take that we have on the board. Either that or Buffalo still being there. A lot of people have Buffalo completely writing them off. I'm okay, second best quarterback. I don't
know. The Eagles at 8 is a hot take, I think, from on our end.
Yeah.
Really? We've
never been big Eagles guys, though. I've been a Jalen Hurts critic for a while now.
That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't know. You just what what kind of burned everything last year in Philadelphia, I feel like was just Sirianni. Like, I don't know. I'm not a Sirianni guy, but like you look up and down that Philly roster, it is filled with just big name players that should be like standouts. Like, yeah, some of them are getting old, especially on the defensive side of the ball with guys like James Bradbury, Darius Slay, which is why they drafted two corners to bring in to try to like solidify that for the future. But if you just look up and down that roster, it is filled with just players upon players who can make impacts, and they just need Sirianni just needs to get his head out of his ass and get to work. I don't know. I don't know how it crashed and burned, whose fault it was last year, but I don't feel like it fell on the players, or it shouldn't have fallen on the players. So I think them at 8 is solid. But yeah, it was the Chargers that really surprised me because they felt like a team to me who like Harbaugh kind of came in, and obviously he wants to bring in his guys. He wants to make the team his own. So he's gonna cut guys, get rid of guys, and bring guys that he wants. And I guess I don't fully believe in what Harbaugh's doing yet. I haven't. Like obviously the season has not started yet, so I can't dog on him for stuff that is like the football season. Games are not started, so we'll see what happens. But
yeah. That's one where I'm going to be texting you, like, if they get a win, I'm going to be like, told you so. But anyway, so let's go ahead and pivot.
It's going to be week 1, and they're going to get the first win of the season. You're going to text me, like, boom, Super Bowl hopes.
Yep,
yeah.
But then they'll lose week 2, and you can text me back. It's okay. All right, let's go ahead and pivot. We'll go to a little bit local here. Steelers quarterback room. I said I don't necessarily love Russ. I've never been a big Justin Fields fan. But in one offseason, if we're going from Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph, and we can pay less and get Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, it's not – I can't ask for much more of a turnaround in one offseason. What are your thoughts on what they did this offseason in the quarterback room and your outlook going forward with the Steelers quarterbacks?
I think it's pretty plain and simple here. Steelers GM Omar Khan just absolutely cooked this offseason, in my opinion. Just paying Russell Wilson $1.21 million and Justin Fields $3.23 million this year is incredible value for the amount of talent and potential that they have that they just brought to the table. So, yes, maybe neither one of them have been particularly impressive over the past 2 seasons, but whenever you talk about the train wreck of Pickett, Rudolph, Trubisky that the Steelers are moving on from, these 2 new QBs look phenomenal. So it's basically all relative. Obviously, they're not bringing in a Patrick Mahomes. Nobody is. There's only one of those guys. But I hear the question asked a lot. Do you really think that Russ can help to lead the Steelers to Super Bowl this year? And people think of the most recent version of Russ that they've seen, and they immediately answered. I also hear the question, do you really think that clown named Arthur Smith, arguably the most hated man in NFL media last year, can come in and save the Steelers offense? And people, again, think of the most recent version of Arthur Smith and that they've seen, and they answer no. So, but now that these two are tied together with high hopes from fans and analysts, like all across the NFL landscape, I'm just kind of intrigued as to what we're going to see. Because if the Let Russ Cook movement taught me anything in Seattle, it's that Pete Carroll was absolutely correct in trying to make things simple and try to protect Russ. So as we know, that Seattle offense with Russ was a run first with running backs like Marshawn Lynch, Chris Carson. Then they would execute some beautifully effective play action passes off of that where Russ could just roll out and make huge plays with that famous moon ball of his. And then for Arthur Smith in 2019 and 2020 when he was offensive coordinator of the Titans, he also ran a run-first offense behind that beast that is Derrick Henry. They were also able to run some effective play action passes off the run game because teams were stacking the box against Henry. And Smith's offense succeeded with a quarterback who I wouldn't have put in the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. Ryan Tannehill.
No shot.
Yeah, not even close. So is Ryan Tannehill a special quarterback who brings a lot to work with? Not at all.
But they were the 1 seed. Yeah, they were the 1 seed.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, in 2019, they made it to the AFC Championship game with that offense. And then the following year, they were the number 1 seed in 2020. And Ryan Tannehill in this offense under Arthur Smith, he was the 3rd highest graded PFF quarterback in 2019, 7th highest graded PFF quarterback in 2020. And so do I think that Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith can come together and create some high-flying, flashy, league-leading offense this season? No, this is not a Shanahan-style offense that brings speed, motion, scheming receivers open, unexpectedness to the table. This is a ground-and-pound offense that once you're expecting to run, then we'll hit you deep with one deep shot, and then we're going to go right back to the run game. But I do think that this quarterback, offensive coordinator pairing is damn near perfect. for the pieces that they have to work with.
I-
Omar Khan has also been cooking up that O-line this season.
Yeah.
The running game can be effective between Najee and Jalen Warren, but I do have some concerns about that receiving core as a whole. Pickens at wide receiver 1, like all of us watching Steelers games, we've seen what he can do. He makes flashy plays. Just get him the ball more is what everybody's hoping for. Roman Wilson in the slot is average, I would say.
Yeah, I guess
I'm
we
a big
haven't seen him
draft
yet.
guy,
But...
so like, yeah, we haven't seen him yet, exactly. But I'm a big draft guy, and I like watch film on all these guys. But I'm not as high on him as other analysts are. I feel like he's kind of limited after the catch. But also, Freiermuth needs to stay healthy. But the other starting outside wide receiver that they have it's a battle between Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, Marquez Callaway, or Quez Watkins. Like, I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah, those are a lot
So
of
this
threes.
is all
Those feel like a lot of
Exactly,
threes.
yeah.
Yeah.
or fours, 3 or 4s.
Yeah, you're probably right there. You're probably right.
Like this, and obviously, like this is all going to play into the success of Russ, because if Russ can protect the ball this season, make accurate throws, be a leader that doesn't get his teammates fed up with his goofiness, because he is goofy and he needs to win over that locker room.
True.
Not basically lose them right off the bat, but then I believe that Arthur Smith's offensive scheme can make Russ look much more like his Seattle form. But that kind of scares me to say that, because these are 2 guys who have kind of been written off the past 2 seasons. But I guess we'll see what happens. And as for Justin Fields, this guy has shown flashes unlike many other quarterbacks in the league. Like, whenever Justin Fields was at his best in basically like 2 or 3 games each of the past 2 seasons, he looked like almost unstoppable. He just kind of lacks the consistency, and he's got some very questionable accuracy sometimes. But no doubt that Justin Fields has all the tools, and the Steelers fans just continuously like dream about his potential. I just hear them saying like Justin Fields should like start immediately and all that. But I think he definitely just needs to learn behind Russ about how to rein it all, or learn behind Russ about how to rein it all in, focus on his strengths, and mature as a decision maker and passer. Because I feel like that's where the questions about Justin Fields stemmed from. That's how he got traded. That's why he got traded from Chicago to the Steelers. But all in all, outside of the 49ers with Brock Purdy, this is probably the Steelers quarterback room, the second most valuable quarterback room in terms of money, talent, and potential in the NFL, I would say.
Well, true. I mean, they're paying what, like a total of 3.5, and they got 2 decent guys. So the guy at the helm, obviously being Mike Tomlin, got that extension. Look, is he a good coach? Yes. I think he set the standard for himself. He says the standard is the standard. And it's like, okay, well, is the standard barely getting to the playoffs and then getting eviscerated by a real contender? Because if that's the standard, then that's fine, re-sign him. But it's like, you say the standard's the standard, and we have these high hopes because it's Pittsburgh, Super Bowls and stuff, and
Exactly.
It just feels like he's not living up to it. Did you like the extension, or did you not?
Well, I'm going to do a little callback to your episode. It was episode 230 for you guys a couple weeks ago. Actually, give you guys a little credit, because Tim, you did well in laying out Tomlin's speckled history of being the Steelers head coach, and just the team's middling, seemingly like plateauing success. So yeah, go back and give that a listen if you guys haven't yet. But so on our podcast, we've talked about Mike Tomlin many times, because we got 3 big Steelers fans on our panel because we're close to Pittsburgh, just like you guys. But Tomlin, in my eyes, is a stingy, no-nonsense defensive coach whose discipline and fight carry over into creating a culture that's just like him. And during one of our conversations about Tomlin on our podcast, one of my co-hosts brought up a very good point that I didn't think of. Tomlin brings a culture to the table that the Steelers already embody as a franchise. Therefore, what Tomlin is bringing, the Steelers already have just by simply being the Steelers. The history of great defenses, hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, discipline, effort, and doing the dirty work. The Steelers have been this way since the 70s, at least the 70s, whenever Chuck Noll took over.
Yeah.
So we see what's been taking the league by storm in today's NFL. It's those Shanahan-style offenses. I'll say it again. The latest example, just like you said, is the Texans last season. They brought in 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans as their head coach, and 49ers pass game coordinator Bobby Slowick as their offensive coordinator. This Texans team looked like they were multiple years away from competing with minimal proven player talent. These coaches came in, immediately set the culture, and implemented effective schemes and took the league by storm in year 1. This was year 1 that they were there. And the truth of the matter is that the NFL has greatly changed since Mike Tomlin took over the Steelers in 2007. And Tomlin just hasn't shown the ability to be able to keep up with the times. Now, and this would never happen, but man, I wish it would. I would absolutely love to see Mike Tomlin just be the Steelers defensive coordinator, because his defense has proven that it still works in today's NFL.
I love that idea,
As far
actually.
as captaining, Yeah, yeah, but like it's never going to happen. They're not just going to demote him
No,
and
they
then
won't.
sign somebody else.
No, he'll either
Yeah,
have to quit or get fired. So
yeah.
the Cowboys, right? Who do they pay? Because Malik Hooker, the safety, comes out and is like, "Oh, Micah's third in line. CeeDee's number one. I guess Dak would be there, the middle guy." I'm not a Dak guy. I think Micah needs to show that he can play big in big games. Right down the stretch of seasons in the playoffs, he hasn't been there. I would put CD as priority number one. I guess I would put Dak at two, Mike at three. Although that's a toss up. I think Malik Hooker is on the right page there, on the right track. Who would you pay first? What do you do if you're Dallas? Those are three guys you're going to have to pay a ton of money to if you want to keep all three. What do you do in Dallas?
If it's me, who I'm paying first it's actually Micah, hands down.
Okay.
Hands down. It is Micah Parsons. Pay that man, please. I feel confident in the market Micah Parsons would be successful playing either edge, inside linebacker, or safety. I think he could be a successful NFL player anywhere. When
Interesting.
you Yeah, he's just so athletic. Coming into the draft, he came out as he was a hybrid of all three, like an Isaiah Simmons type. But when you talk about the amount of impact that individual players have on their entire defense, he's got to be up there, like in the top three in the NFL. Like if he's off the field, the defense just like goes kaput. Like no, that's not. So I don't have a whole lot to say about Micah Parsons because paying him or not paying him shouldn't even be up for debate, in my opinion. He's
Sure.
one of the best defensive players in the league. Nick Bosa gets paid $34 million per year. That's the highest in the league for a defender. I'd pay Micah Parsons up to a max of $40 million a year.
Oh,
That's what I
oh.
would say.
Jerry
I
would
think
love to do it. Jerry loves to pay his guys. I don't think you're crazy there.
So that's how I feel about Micah. As far as CD, I think CD should be number two.
Okay.
So CD is a great wide receiver, and I think for him personally, he's playing out this contract situation by waiting for Justin Jefferson to sign his deal, which he already did. I think he played that perfectly because then he could just
Sure.
ask for more money. Like good job by him, I guess.
I think he's
Now,
right in line with Justin Jefferson.
he is. He is. But now people are like now more than ever, you guys are seeing this, that people are comparing CeeDee Lamb to Justin Jefferson. And I can't stand for it, man. It's crazy. Yeah, they're both 2020 second round or first round picks. If you look at each of their career stats, they're fairly similar. They're both clamoring for these big contracts. But I'm here to tell those people who are making that comparison to please stop it. Like most people don't realize it, but CeeDee Lamb plays over half of his snaps out of the slot. CeeDee
Yeah.
Lamb played a higher percentage of snaps out of the slot last year than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown
He's
in
a
my
slot
eyes, is
receiver,
strictly a
isn't he?
Slot receiver.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. And CeeDee Lamb played a higher percentage out of the slot than he did. And Justin Jefferson plays most of his snaps lined up outside. Now people are probably going to say, okay, Keane, but who cares? CD is still succeeding in the NFL. And you're right. But the best cornerbacks in the league play outside. Justin Jefferson is winning against those corners. And while CD is in the slot half the time, avoiding those cornerbacks, unless they're specifically assigned to follow CD everywhere. But there were some games last year, multiple games last year, where CD had at least 60% of his snaps out of the slot versus the Jets. So he was avoiding Sauce.
Of course.
Versus the 49ers, he was avoiding Charvarius Ward. Versus the Packers, he was avoiding Jair Alexander. Against the Eagles, avoiding Darius Slay. Against the Bills, avoiding Rasul Douglas or Christian Benford. Both those guys had good years last year. But it's been historically proven that it's easier to get open from the slot.
Absolutely.
It's why the shorter, slower wide receivers are put in the slot and can still succeed. So I'm not saying that CeeDee Lamb is a bad wide receiver. I think he's great. But when you're asking to be paid at least $35 million a year, like Justin Jefferson, I don't want to pay you that because sometimes we have to move you away from the best corners in the league for you to succeed. And that makes me kind of cringe a little bit because if I'm paying you that much money, I want you to succeid all the time.
Oh, you better be winning
I don't
against
care who
everybody.
you're playing against. Exactly.
Yeah.
And as far as for Dak, that leaves him kind of off the list third. I don't want to pay Dak. So although I will say that outside of 3 games last year where Dak completely shit the bed, it was against the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Bills. I think Dak should have won MVP. You take out those 3 games, obviously you can't take out games, but still, he was great, I think. And people are going to say, well, Dak had receivers last season. We'll see what he does this year with just CeeDee. The only person he lost from last season to this season was Michael Gallup, and he only put up 418 receiving yards. So I think he'll be fine. But overall, Dak was great last season. I won't take that away from him. But the thing that I've noticed with Dak, and everybody sees it, is that whenever he plays bad, the whole team plays bad. Even the defense. I don't understand what happens. I don't know if it's some chicken or the egg thing, but now every player but not like every player has a bad game now and then. But whenever Dak has these bad games, they're absolutely catastrophic, and they seem to happen on big important stages. Like it's happened for multiple years.
Oh yeah, every
And these
playoff game.
exactly. Yeah, the Cowboys are a restless, championship hungry franchise that wants to win. And Jerry Jones reflects that. Well, not really with the moves that he made, but he always says like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, we're all in. But the fans also reflect that. They're some of the most like angry fans in the NFL. And we've watched the same Cowboys merry-go-round for 3 straight years now. They keep going 12-5. Like the last 3 seasons, they've been 12-5, and then they just shit the bed in the playoffs. But
of course.
Cowboys are finally realizing that Dak is just like Kirk Cousins. He's an above-average NFL quarterback, but you need to build up a good team around him to help
Thank
him.
you.
And you can't do that. You can't do that if you're paying him $60-55 million a year.
Thank you.
That's just the fact of the matter.
I've been a huge Kirk guy. Okay, real quick, because we talked about Tua, what was that, a couple weeks ago, because Tua is the other guy.
Yeah.
Do we pay Tua? Do we not pay Tua? Okay, I'm going to give you Tua or. All right, we're going to play a little Tua or. I played it like in the last week or 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Are we talking with money like you guys did?
Sure, yeah. We'll go Tua at 50, because I think 50 is a fair number-ish. Okay, we'll go Tua at 50 or Kirk at 40.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, Kirk is 35. Tua is what, 26, 27? Oh, man. I see them very similarly. Just accurate guys who can get the job done, who can run. Obviously, Tua is able to. Anybody can run that Shanahan-style offense. And
sure.
Give me Kirk.
Okay,
he's got
Kirk.
the experience. Give me Kirk, and then we can. If he's bad, then we get a good draft pick, and we'll.
Fair enough. All right. What about Goff at 53 or Tua at 50?
Nah, give me Goff. I'm kind of a big Goff believer.
I'm a big
Goff believer for no reason. Yeah.
Okay. What about Tua or this Deshaun Watson contract?
No, absolutely not. Give me Tua.
Okay, cool. I'm with that.
Deshaun Watson scares the crap out of me.
Yep.
The fact that we haven't seen him play good football in 4 years now, 3-4 years, since he got injured and then the whole scandal and everything.
Sure.
Deshaun Watson scares the crap out of me, and of course it's the Browns. Of course it's the Browns who made this huge investment on him, and it's not going to work. It's just fun.
Okay, all right. Last question, real quick. I'm a huge Caleb Williams guy. Luke is not a big Caleb Williams guy. Nope. You like C.J. Stroud, which fair. I like C.J. Stroud too. I think Caleb's fantastic. I have the Bears winning a playoff game this year. Give me your over/under or win prediction for the Bears.
Win prediction for the Bears. I don't think that Caleb Williams is going to hit the ground running. I got to be honest. I think he's one of the.
There it is.
I think he's one of. He is. He's basically coming into the league as like the prince who was promised. He's like the next Trevor Lawrence. He's the next Andrew Luck. If we want to go NBA, he's the next Victor Wembanyama. And I see the potential and the playmaking ability that Caleb Williams has, but I can also kind of see the flaws. Not going to lie, I had Caleb Williams as 1A in this class and Jaden Daniels as 1P. I feel like Jaden Daniels I think he's going to hit the ground running better than Caleb Williams, because Jaden Daniels felt like watching him, he played more of a pro style offense. Caleb Williams was more of like I don't see anything there. I'm gonna scurry out of here. And you can't do that to your offensive linemen, because they are expecting you to be directly behind them. Whenever you are running around in the pocket, they can't protect you. So I guess win total for the Bears, to circle back around, I would set it at 8.5.
Okay.
7.5.
Would you go? So I feel like you think of them more as like a 7-8 win team.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go 9 or 10, and I think they sneak in as a wild card, if not win the division. I think they're a dark horse to win the division. I have them winning a playoff game. He disagrees with me vehemently.
I'm trying not to gloat over here off this take. I'm finally getting some support on my side. Every week it's a battle. I tell you, every single week I have to hear about Caleb Williams.
Caleb's the guy. I think he is the guy. Keane, you're the man. I much appreciate it. Guys, go follow his podcast on YouTube. Like I said, Spotify as well. Last Stop Sports Talk. Keane, you're the man. We'll definitely have you on at least a couple more times throughout the NFL season.
I appreciate it, guys. It's a lot of fun. Have a happy and safe 4th of July.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
All right, that was Keane Cropp. First time on the issue, definitely not the last. Did a great job there. Make sure you go subscribe to his podcast as well, Last Stop Sports Talk. You find it on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like we do at the end of every show, last call. Today, we had something else in mind, which, oh yeah, let me write the other one down real quick
write
because
that
I
down
will
before we
forget.
This
I
is
will
what we-
forget. Go ahead and intro
So,
what we have now.
First of all, how many do you have written down over there? I have to ask. I feel like we write one down every single week, and then you come in and we start.
You still won't
planning
do
the
my
show.
fake words one.
That one's. I can't say that. Okay, yeah. So today, in the spirit of 4th of July, we are doing a draft of, I guess, best cookout foods, best 4th of July
Yeah,
foods to eat
cookout
at, like a
foods,
barbecue or something
sure.
of the sorts. So yet another draft. Tim, you have pick one because you won the predictions last year. So
I
you
know
can start
this-
things off.
To me, this is a no-brainer.
Go ahead.
Hamburger or cheeseburger, just any sort of burger.
Burger.
Yeah, I would say I prefer cheese, but if you don't, I mean, you're weird, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
In specific, I would go bacon cheeseburger, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle,
That sounds great.
a little bit of mayo, just a little bit.
A
That's
lot
what
of
I
mayo.
would go with.
I'd go a lot of
Okay,
mayo, but
fair
yeah,
enough.
that's a good pick.
Sure.
I feel like this next one has to be picked just because it has to be at least a first rounder. Your hot dogs.
I see. I knew you were
The
going to go
hot
hot
dogs
dog.
will
Yeah,
work.
no, I agree.
See,
I agree.
The thing with the hot dog too is you get a lot of versatility with that. So you
Yeah.
could make it. You could put melted cheese on it and jalapenos, make it a cheese dog, or
Yeah.
you could do some ketchup
mustard,
You
ketchup
relish.
mustard relish. Yeah.
There's a lot of different avenues you could take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you could even start throwing like some brisket on there and stuff.
Ooh.
Which I mean, if you have brisket at
Or like
cookout, that's number one.
like
anyway.
a bacon wrapped hot dog too.
Shut up. That sounds
good.
great. My number 2 slot, I'm going to go, if it's not at a cookout, it's not a cookout. Watermelon. I know it's not like a prepared dish, but I mean, you got to slice it. Close enough. I'd go watermelon.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic, it's the essence of a cookout. If you're not, and if it's not the big triangles, then it's not really watermelon.
Do you not like them when it's bald? Do you not like bald watermelon?
No.
Not a big fan?
No.
Like toothpick?
I don't mind if it's like, cubed or like sliced into columns. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't want it bald.
Okay.
I'd rather have it in the big triangles at a cookout
I have
with the rinds on it.
How many picks are we going each for this draft?
I don't know, probably what, 4? 3?
Let's go 4.
4?
Let's
Okay.
go 4. I'm gonna go ribs.
Ooh, yeah, ribs are underrated.
Ribs are a really good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, a little messy for my taste, but so is a watermelon and so is a burger. So I don't know what
Coming right off the grill though, I feel like ribs is a
Sure.
solid one. I don't usually tend to eat ribs unless at a cookout of the sorts. That was loud.
That was really loud.
Yeah, that's on me.
Yeah, I know. I would go. Yeah, ribs are good. Ribs are good. Smoked ribs even better.
Yes. If
even
you have
better.
some sort of smoke, like a green egg.
Ooh, I like a green egg. God, I don't. This is a tough spot.
Pick 3.
This is a really tough spot. I'm gonna go with the store-bought cookies in a thing with the icing on it, like the 4th of July icing, like the cookies that are in the plastic tin.
Oh, yeah.
The store-bought ones that are probably horrendous for you, trans fat out the ass.
That's okay.
But the ones with the icing on it. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like just the sugar cookie with the icing on top?
Yep, that's amazing.
Yeah, those are, yeah, I'm taking those.
That's America in a plastic box right there.
Yes.
Hell, a lot of trans fat, but damn it, it's going to taste good going down.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a solid one. I didn't think of that one. I didn't even have that on my board here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for my third pick, mac and cheese.
Ooh.
A mac and cheese.
Homemade, right?
Yes,
Okay,
homemade.
cool.
Absolutely homemade.
Sure.
But a mac and cheese at like a barbecue, a 4th of July barbecue, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to find something
Probably
better.
done on the grill or in the oven as well.
I was going to say a
it's
baked
legit.
mac and cheese.
Yep.
Amazing.
For sure.
Amazing.
I'm going to go the sleeper pick here. Beer.
Beer.
How is it going to be 4th of July without the
true.
nation's beverage?
I didn't know if we were going beverages or not, but that's a hell of a pick.
I think you have to. How am I supposed to eat a burger or ribs?
If you don't have anything to wash it down.
I'm gonna need some liquid.
Liquid and the best liquid that America has to offer.
Beer. Yeah. Pick your beer. Doesn't matter which one, but I'm going just beer in general.
Probably let me guess, an icy light mango would
Oh
crush.
God, I
at
love an icy light mango.
crush
I love
for
an
you.
icy light mango.
especially at a barbecue.
Yes, or Yingling Flight. Those are my two that I would just destroy at a 90-degree barbecue.
There you go. My last pick. I know you don't like it, but it's a fan of the people.
You're gonna go
It's the
pasta
pasta
salad.
It's the pasta salad.
I knew exactly what you're gonna take.
Yep.
I'm surprised it wasn't higher up your board. I'm going to be honest with you.
I knew I could let that one slip. That's why. I knew I was going to go get my big hitters, my heavy hitters. You weren't going to touch pasta salad because I know you don't touch pasta salad when it's at a spread. Which, do what you want to him in the comments for that one. Pasta salad is so good.
I don't like pasta salad. I don't like potato salad. I don't like the egg salad. What else is there?
I don't know, but I feel like
macaroni salad, leave it all.
You tend to not like dishes that are supposed to be warm but are cold.
Yes, pasta's warm. Pasta is meant to be eaten warm. I don't like it cold. To me, it's cold and slimy. I don't like cold and slimy.
Okay.
I'm not dissing on it. I'm sure your grandmother or your mom or your aunt, I'm sure they have a great recipe. I'm sure it's fantastic.
Because you don't like iced tea either, but will you drink hot tea? Because the tea is supposed to be hot.
Yeah, I don't mind tea. I'm not a big tea guy in general. Actually, I prefer iced tea over hot tea, but like sweetened. It's got to be.
Okay.
I got to load it up with sugar.
Okay. There you go. So just to run back through, you had burger, correct, watermelon, store-bought sugar cookies with the icing.
Yes.
And beer, and then I had hot dog, ribs, mac and cheese, and pasta salad.
Dude, that's good.
That's a solid draft.
I'll tell you what. You combine those two, that's a damn good cookout.
Put your hands together.
Absolutely.
That's all we have. That's the last call.
Do it up.
Guys, we appreciate you being here for the 4th anniversary of the Issue Podcast. We really appreciate it. Episode 232. We couldn't have done it without all you guys watching, listening, and sending, subscribing, all that good stuff. So please continue to do that. We appreciate it. On all the social medias, you can find them all in the link tree. Linked here in the episode, or in any sort of standalone video that you see from us, all those links are there. Guys, we will see you next week for episode 233 on Thursday. And the start of our divisional predictions. We realized that halfway through the show.
There you go.
So divisional predictions will start next week. We will see you then, and that was The Issue.